Good afternoon, folks. Up here in the pasture with the goats. I meant to let them onto their fenced-in pasture, and I forgot to close the gate behind me, so they all rushed it, which is fine. I was going to sit up here anyhow. It'll be a hassle to get them in a little bit. You know, they can graze for hours. Here come the kids. Take some video of this. Well, good afternoon, folks. Romeo and Julieta. Reserved, real, reserve it, real. So, probably June, maybe June, maybe the beginning of June, end of May. We noticed we were having a issue with our breeding buck Thriller. What we thought was a poisoning, we now believe was actually worms that killed him. In particular, I think they're called bar pole, maybe barbed pole. They're a particular type of worm that is very aggressive and often fatal. Like I said, though, at the time we thought it was, I'm laughing because the goats are right here with me. We thought it was poisoning from this plant. We witnessed it being eaten, and it had been grazed on repeatedly. We thought it was that. We had never experienced worms, and it happened so quickly. We really never got a hold on it before he passed. So fast forward until late July, about a week from when our first set of goats were due, and we noticed symptoms of worms in our does, 3 does in particular that were pregnant. Trouble had it really bad, Cinnamon had it pretty bad, and Bella had a relatively mild case. Within short order, a day or so of giving them prescriptions and stuff, Bella and Cinnamon improved, and Trouble didn't. Trouble kept getting worse. It was almost like she had a resistance to the worm medication, maybe. We tried a couple different kinds and weren't successful either time with it. So she's been quarantined for nearly a month, trying to clear this up. It would get a little bit better, and then it would go back. It would get a little bit better, and then it would go back. And mind you, it's already been a pretty tough go for Trouble. She had miscarriaged all 3 of her kids, and I believe it was due to the stress from the worms. And in fact, at her worst moment, we had to take her into the vet, and they sent her home with some medication, and Julia administer the shot. And we've done shots before. We've never had an issue like this, but Trouble just fell to the ground and like no energy, couldn't get up or anything. She was down for a good 30 seconds. And for a goat to fall like that onto its side and lay there, it was clear something was not right. And then that night she miscarried all three of her babies. So that was a bad morning the next morning. Like we always do, I quickly buried them. And, unfortunately, we had to put Trouble right back into the quarantine because she just wasn't getting any better, And the way the parasite spreads is by fecal matter. So obviously goats poop and pee where they graze, and it's typically not an issue unless it becomes so dense with fecal matter that they're grazing on fecal matter, and that's what happened, we believe. Well, that's certainly how it was transferred. We think it was brought in by Thriller, that male goat, and then it was transferred by him defecating and having that parasite in it, and as the girls grazed around, So this morning, anyhow, long story short, this morning I came up to the shop or up to the barn, and Trouble was dead. She looked really bad yesterday, and like I said, she's been on prescriptions and nothing was working. Julia had made up a drink high in protein, high in sugar, high in like probiotics and stuff. And usually when we give that to them, there's a perk of life. They get a good energy boost off it. But Trouble, it was like nothing happened. She guzzled some of it down, but this morning, like I said, when I went up, she was dead. And it sucks, first thing in the morning to have to do that, deal with that. And no matter what time of the day it happens, we instantly go and dig a hole. Unfortunately, that's what you got to do. You got to get it buried quickly before totality of rigor mortis sets in, and you're left with all kinds of mess laying on the ground. And it's harder to witness the animal in that state. Fortunately, when I found her, she hadn't been dead that long. She was stiff, but other than her bladder, she hadn't really released much out of her. So she was dug, the grave was dug, and she was buried probably less than a half hour from the time I found her to the time she was buried. So, and that's the best case scenario. We've had it happen where it's middle of the night, and same thing. You just got to go out and dig a hole right away and get it buried. You don't want to leave it lingering around at all. It's going to make your job much, much worse and much nastier. It opens the door for all kinds of other parasites and diseases to migrate in, and but boy, did it break Julia's heart. Trouble was one of the first goats we had. It was her and Bella, and Trouble was bottle fed, which is why she grew up to be like she was, where she was very in your face. Like she always wanted cuddles and be rubbed and scratched, and she led the herd. Anything that Trouble had to enforce stuck. And I'll give you an example. They'd be out on the pasture grazing, and Trouble would decide it's time to go in, and she would just go to the edge of the pasture and wait. And within a couple minutes, the others would be like, "Oh, Trouble's over there. Let's go." And when they all got over to her, only then would she walk into the barn and take them with her. If there was any kind of threat, she was the first one turning around to face the threat. The goat's natural instinct is to flee, and they all would do that except for Trouble. She would take a couple steps back, and then she would dip her head and she would come at you, man. And she did that with any kind of threat. Didn't matter if it was a dog, a tractor, an ATV. She just was ready to throw down. Mm. Trouble gave birth to kids a couple years ago, and she wasn't a good mother at the very start. She just didn't know what to do, and then she wound up raising Tansy and Billy, so the two brown ones that we got, their brother and sister. Tansy, the girl, is older, and Bilberry is the younger one. They all just passed by. But, when I was living in Maine, I had a fire chief that we were talking one time after I banged into something. Maybe it wasn't me, maybe it was someone else, I don't know. But I banged into a couple things with trucks. And we were just talking about the fact that I drove the trucks mostly meant that it was likely that I was going to have an accident or damage or something. And that's the case here. We've got 10 goats, nine goats now. The chickens, the dogs, the cats. When the numbers multiply, so do the mishaps and the deaths and things like that. When a disease like this attacks the herd, it's not uncommon to lose the entire herd. It would be terribly unfortunate, obviously, and most likely there might have been some miscues and things that happened that would lead to something like that. But we damn near lost our herd. We had 3 really sick goats, and right at the time when they were birthing, which is the most dangerous time, and it proved fatal for one of them and all 3 of her kids. Cinnamon had it really bad, and she delivered right at her worst, and she still managed to deliver. But she also had a stillborn goat, and I'm certain it was due to the stress from the virus or from the parasites, the worms. Thankfully, it doesn't transfer between our other animals, the chickens, nor the dogs and stuff, which was good. I mean, they're on medication anyhow, and that's probably what we'll have to do going forward is introduce them to a worm treatment regimen. We've never had to do that before because we've had a closed herd, and we did pretty good management apparently, because in the 7 or so years, maybe 8 years, we never had an issue. This is the first issue, and we believe it was brought onto the farm but nonetheless, we were neglectful when that goat came onto the farm. We should have, where the hell did they go? They're way over there. We should have done fecal tests, and we should have quarantined it longer. He seemed really healthy and vibrant and everything. And, we paid the price for being impatient. But unfortunately, that's all really today's video is going to be. It kind of threw a damn rag on this morning, and we were off getting everything done, and we're just kind of wrapping our heads around it now. And so I thought I'd come up and have a cigar and just relax and spend some time with the goats. It may sound corny, but these animals are family members. When you have a goat 7 years and you see it minimum of twice a day, even when we're sick, we got to come up here and spend time with it in the morning and spend time with it in the evening. And then all the times when you're just out here and you're just hanging out with the goats, like today, where they're just wandering around doing what they want to do. In fact, I got to go round them up. I'll be right back. Okay, I got them all round up. It's funny. They'll have all this acreage to meander on, and they'll find the one spot like they're not supposed to be in, and they'll go hang out there. But regarding Trouble, like I said, she really was a family member, so to speak, like a dog. Really, I mean, these damn things behave better than my dog sometimes. At least one of them. But my heart's with Julia. Like I said, she's really heartbroken. These little animals are hers, and she went through a lot of lengths to try to keep it healthy and alive. And one miscue, and I don't even know if it was a miscue, but um, it is what it is, as they say. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. There you go. Good job.
There you go. I'll put some feed in